allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we can do an official roll call now.
Rob? Bill?
Well, we weren't doing nothing, so you got me.
Bill?
I told him. I was
Yeah.
gonna get you.
Joyce?
Several stops.
Linda?
Yep.
Gilbert?
Joyce, yes, ma'am.
Chuck?
Yes.
Did everybody have a chance to kind of go through the minutes? Any changes or modifications? If not, entertain a motion to adopt or
I'll make the
approve.
motion.
I'll second it.
Linda?
Yes,
Bill?
ma'am.
Yes.
Rob?
Abstain.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yeah.
Chuck?
Yes.
Okay. Rob, you wanna give us a report on the financials?
Sure, I'll do that. Okay, reconciled date is January 31st, 2025. Prior UAN balance is $2,218,653.49. Receipts is $94,455.96. Payments, $151,121.90. Adjustments at $100. Final balance is $2,162,087.55. Any questions?
If not, a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Bill?
Okay.
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Joyce? Chuck?
Yes.
Rob?
Yep.
Linda?
Yep.
Okay, before we go any further, I think we need to, have a precedent for the council for the, since Rob was the first, in January, so I guess I need a
I'll
nomination.
nominate Rob.
You okay with that, Rob?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're doing it now.
Okay, a roll call for, President of the Council, Rob.
Rob? I guess you want to do it. Bill?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yeah.
Linda?
Yep.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
You're allowed to vote for yourself.
She said
Did
no.
you?
I've never
You
argued
can.
with her.
Well, you didn't say nothing,
He
so.
tried, look what happened to him.
Okay, everybody get called in? You done there? So, here's some cellophane so I can wrap you up this sucker then.
Do we have a
Got
police
him.
report?
Yes, I got a police report here, so.
Got him.
Not at the end.
I should have another one in here.
I gave you a copy too, Rob.
Did you give me a
You're
copy?
probably there, so you're about like me, you're starting to lose shit. Okay, so,
I got more hair. You asked for that one.
probably got more on my butt than you do, but that's what matters.
I thought I do too.
So anyways, okay.
Yours is.
Not
Nothing,
bad,
President.
okay. Traffic citations, I got one, this is for December, so I talked to, Chuck and they didn't have to, January ain't done yet, but I think I'll have that tomorrow, so she's working on that. Anyways, traffic citations in December were 1, warnings were 4. We had some juvenile complaints, we had 5, and, non-criminal alarm sector 1, other assistance within the area, 57, so that's further. Also, okay, so the other thing, I called him, because John and I talked, I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna do with all this evidence we have out here.
Oh.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
I talked to him, and then I talked to his deputy, and they're gonna come over this week sometime, we're gonna start the process of figuring out what evidence they wanna maintain, and what other stuff they can destroy or whatever.
Right.
So we can get that cleaned out, and then we got, I guess the other issue I got, I didn't realize, we've got, what, probably 10 bicycles, right, John? Between the two rooms?
There's a lot in there.
There's a lot of bicycles, so I guess we'll figure out what we can sell, maybe we'll have in the spring, we'll have a sell, to the public, to get rid of this stuff, 'cause we definitely don't need bicycles. I mean, and a lot of them look pretty nice, really. I'm surprised none of them really junk. I mean, they had some flat tires and stuff, but, I mean, they weren't all beat up or anything like
Can we
that.
have kind of like a garage sale or something?
We have to have an open auction.
We'll have
so-
to have an open
yeah,
auction.
Auction and sell the stuff, so that's not what I'm gonna do, so.
I'm just thinking of an auction of a bike that's been in the garage for God knows how long.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Well,
like
just
brand
pump
new.
up the tires, geez, get my
They was
little
all
air
in a heated
motos.
garage.
That's true, man, fair enough. That's
Yeah,
true.
I mean,
I
nice.
definitely would come look at the bikes.
I love the dog bike. Oh my
Got
God.
some bikes there.
So,
Scott Rush.
before I go,
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
we gotta do, I'm gonna
I
do
did, I
ordinance
forgot.
for the service charge for the,
Okay,
so we need a few more together before I get to that, and then I'll talk about that.
yeah, and then I would assume that we're gonna do the full-on 3 reading.
Yeah, it's, we're not in a
Okay.
rush for it or whatever.
Okay, alright.
Okay, so,
Get something together there.
so Mike, you wanna come up? And we'll talk about the fire department, and then
We had 10 runs for the first of the year. So that's where we're pretty much at right now, is at 10 runs.
Okay, cool.
So, and I just got the budget tonight, so I'm just going through that, I guess.
You have a copy of that too, Scott.
okay, I have to go through the budget when I get a chance, I'll look through that.
Basically, with the 2025 appropriations that you guys are gonna look at and approve tonight, the fire department is short $18,930 this year.
From what they had last year. Any other thing?
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to go over, I just see, she was asking me about the fire dependency fund,
Pardon?
the fire dependency fund. She asked me about that.
It's on a page underneath your,
Yeah, I'm looking for it. I knew it was here, I'm just trying to figure out.
it's
what
on
it
your
is.
agenda.
Right there, it's underneath that first page.
Right here, Scott.
It's on his
There
agenda.
it is.
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's on
okay.
that.
I gave, you were at the meeting and you took all that information, remember?
Yeah. So, here's the issue with, I gotta figure out, we gotta talk about this EMS, with the medical director. So I think we probably need to do that for another year yet. I need to understand, just protect the fire department. So I gotta,
Did you what now?
so, we have a medical director for the fire department. We enacted last year.
For the EMRs, not
Or EMRs or whatever, for the fire department, so I'm not, if you guys running on any EMRs or whatever, if you have to respond or anybody, I just wanna make sure we're protected, so I just got the quote, $1,350. So I think last year, I think it was right around that, Angela,
How much was it?
$1,350.
I'm sorry.
We don't wanna do it.
Well, I think we're gonna have to do it, is what I'm getting at,
Why do we have to do it?
because I think we need to have a medical director protect the fire department if you guys do any emergency medical
We don't do
response.
any, that's why Scott is full-time staff.
Well, I mean, if you go out.
You were at that meeting with us and agreed with us the last meeting with
Well,
us.
that's why I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to understand, make sure that I don't do something stupid here. I mean, I know that I contracted with them last year, when we set up the license and stuff for the drugs and all that stuff. So I gotta figure out, I know that's due too, I just got that in the mail. I mean, I just got all this stuff last 2 days, that's what I just got. So, I mean, we gotta go look at where we're at with the budget, I understand what you're saying, so I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. I gotta get that figured out, but I'm just saying, as a council, I just want you to understand, this is where we're at. We have a medical director right now, and if we're not gonna run any EMR runs,
We run them, we just don't do any medical. We
well,
don't
but
do
I'm
any
just saying,
medical work.
I'm just saying, we still should have a medical director protect us, I'm thinking.
Do you go on any runs or calls where you would be doing anything medically that where EMS wouldn't be at?
Nope.
Okay.
Again, that's why they're 24-hour staff.
Well, yeah, but my point being, and here's what it is, yeah, there's staff there, but if you're first responders to the scene, and you gotta stabilize somebody until the ambulance gets there.
We got to have first responders first.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying, but I think.
Because like John's not a first responder, so he can't do nothing. Tanner Jeff's not a first responder, so he can't do nothing. But they're the first ones on scene, so what, we can't do anything anyway.
But I am CPR certified, so I can do that.
But that's not through medical director, anybody can do that. That's a
Basically a Red Cross certification.
good
type-
Samaritan.
Type,
Right.
Yes.
type situation.
Yes.
So I guess I need to understand, from a legal point of view,
Well, and that's why I'm asking is, so,
you know,
cause I get the, kind of the twofold part of it, right?
Right.
And that's what I'm kind of getting at is if so there'd be virtually never a run that you guys would ever go on that wouldn't also have EMS or someone like that.
That we'd ever go on that wouldn't be there?
Right.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, there might be one or two, but I can't.
Cause that's the only thing that I would have is I get where Mike's coming from, and I don't necessarily have any issue with it. That's why I'm asking though about if that, because what I don't want to have happen is this, is you happen to, I'm gonna make this up, you get called for a car accident, right? So, you're not gonna, there'd be never a time that you're going to the car accident that EMS wouldn't also have been dispatched to.
Right.
Right.
That situation. And there's probably never gonna be a structure fire, for example, where they're not gonna also dispatch EMS, right?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, if the route that you guys ultimately go is to not have the medical director, we basically have to make it clear what people should and can and can't do.
Well, they already know that.
Right, so but my point is that then if it's gotta be kinda one or the other. I don't necessarily have a strong opinion one way or another because to your point, the EMS is running.
Does the Good Samaritan law apply to fire departments that are dispatched as well? I know it applies to
So like me,
you, if you pull up somewhere and someone needs a Band-Aid, you can do that.
Right.
but
I
if,
think it does. I think that Good Samaritan applies for fire
I don't have-
department.
But what if we pull up to a scene, and an accident scene and squad's not there yet, and someone needs a tourniquet, and we put a tourniquet on someone?
well, I think the difference becomes, here's the issue, to your point is, if you run up and happen to see a car accident and help in your personal capacity, I would think the Good Samaritan exception would apply. If you appear in your capacity as a volunteer firefighter, I don't think it does,
That's
because you're
my
acting in your
question.
professional
But-
capacity.
He's legally and technically not allowed to touch a patient because he's not certified. as
And so I
EMR.
think that's
That's my point.
Right,
Neither
so
is
if you're
Tanner
never,
Jet. So they're never, the only ones that can touch somebody is a first responder and EMT.
right,
Nobody else can, you can't do nothing else.
so if
You would let
that's-
somebody, you would have to let somebody die if you,
It wouldn't happen because the EMT run is going, the EMS is also being dispatched.
What
That's
are
the
you
difference.
gonna do?
Yeah, but if they're not there.
But it would be extreme, that's what I'm getting at, but it'd be exceptionally unlikely. Well, two reasons. So one is, it sounds like it'd be exceptionally unlikely because they're basically both running from the same spot, right here.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not
All the time.
necessarily.
There's times when they're in Tiffin or.
So here's the
or on
thing.
call.
They're probably not rendering life-saving aid anyway
Yes, they are.
at this point, or are you?
When?
Who, the cop, or I mean, the fire
Fire
department?
department.
Fire department.
Not unless you're EMR or first responder, correct. And we only assist the squad if they need it.
Right.
So I think that's,
You know, there's stuff to look at, but I don't know.
Well, the only reason I'm bringing this up, because I've kind of changed the rules, and I just want to make sure that I don't do something.
How much does a medical director cost us?
$1,300.
1,300?
Plus drugs.
Well, the drug thing, I can cancel that because having
What are you guys paying
having
Sandusky
oxygen, I don't
County?
have to
It
have a
just
license.
changed.
That
For-
changed, and once I got it,
Medical
they
director.
changed it, so
It just
now if I've
changed.
got oxygen,
I
I
have
don't
no
have to
idea.
have
You guys got a new
a
one.
medical, or
Right.
a medical,
I see.
a
I know.
drug license. So that I probably can cancel that. I'm just looking
I know.
for, I'm just
Sandusky
making sure
County
that,
just changed.
pardon?
Sandusky County just changed all their medical director.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper who they went with. So,
that also may be the split the difference is, and I wouldn't drag your guys' feet on it, but it may be worth looking around because if you can get one that you feel is more in your budget, I'd probably be more comfortable having one just because I don't want us to all have this conversation and then
Yeah.
the perfect storm
Something happens.
happens,
right.
right? But then the flip of it is, I get also where we've got a relatively tight budget,
That's,
and that's a lot of
where I'm
money
look-
for
that's what I'm
something,
looking
a
at.
situation that you're not.
And I don't dispute that at all, I'm just,
That's
I'm
what I'm
looking
looking
at the.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the legality side.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the other thing. I mean, I can look and see.
that's what I'm looking at as a financial end, not
Yeah.
as in, not putting John down, not putting
No,
Tanner
no.
down, not putting, but I'm just saying, we only have a select few of first responders.
Yeah,
Yep.
but the way I,
And you
here's,
can't-
here's the other way I'm looking at it too. I mean, just from my perspective as a manager, I'm just thinking, is this cheap insurance to protect the village too? You know what I'm saying? If I have a medical
Yeah.
director and they kind of manage everything, that's the other way of looking at it too. That's my point, right?
I guess
What,
it's
what are
something-
they truly managing with the fire department?
They're not right now, I'm just saying, but the problem is if I gotta have a medical director, if we're doing first responder stuff or whatever, I just wanna
And
make
see,
sure.
then
But
we
we're
gotta
not doing first responder stuff.
But
That's
you
your
mean-
point.
Then we gotta go back, now we gotta go back to all this training.
Right,
We've had this for a year now, nobody's went to any trainings.
Well, that's the
Right.
issue, yeah, so, yeah.
You can't force,
Well, no, I can't force volunteers or whatever, you
force to
know.
drink water, you can lead them there, but you can't force them to drink.
Right, right, yeah, you know, so.
I mean, they're volunteers, we can't force them to.
Well, and the change from the past is professional EMS.
right.
Yeah,
That's a big change. We're not having this conversation if it's still the same styled EMS. Because you're
Not
far more
anymore.
likely to
Then
assist.
it-
Maybe I'm
that's-
wrong, but you were far more likely to assist in the past probably than you are
Right.
now.
And that's the whole reason why this all come about was, when we ran in Jackson Township, Sandusky County, we would show up before the squads got there.
Right.
So then we
And
would-
you're not gonna
then we
watch,
would-
to her point, you're not gonna
Right.
watch someone being terrible.
Exactly. Same thing with Johnny. I'm sure if it came down to life and death, what are you gonna do?
I was an EMT before.
You know what I'm
I'm gonna
saying?
do what needs
You're
to be
gonna, you're
done.
gonna do it
Right.
regardless.
That's
if you're-
why I'm curious for the Good Samaritan law.
If you're a first
Who
responder
falls
now,
under
he's
it.
gonna do it anyway.
Right,
We'll deal with the consequences later. I mean,
Right.
just like in our budget, if we're only gonna do, you know, we got $18,000 to deal with, you know.
well, I
It's
understand.
a chunk.
Yeah,
It's 10% of your budget.
Yeah, but that's why I think it's important that we have this honest discussion in a public forum so everyone understands the dilemma, right? Because, I mean, I had this discussion with Mike, and we kind of agreed we probably didn't need it, but I got the, you know, I got
yeah, sure.
the invoices and all that stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess.
So what do we gotta, is that something you figure out? Alex?
Well, I think I would look and give a basically advice and you guys ultimately make the
Well,
call.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I got a meeting with Chris and the guys next
Oh,
Tuesday night,
okay.
Halfley and all that stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Tony and all them guys, and I'll approach this whole thing so I can figure out from our
Because I
position.
guess if we, I mean, it's
Yeah.
what, $1,300?
I mean, the way we're operating, what is the medical director gonna save us from?
They're not, other than.
They're not, because we're not doing, if the bigger issue, candidly, is less concerned about the medical director and more concerned that if you have, is the training component of it. Is if you have people who are not doing the training and then trying to administer aid, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Medical director or not.
Right.
But if the guys are all on board of, we're not gonna do the training and at the same time, we're not gonna
Help
administer
anybody.
this sort of, well, not help anyone,
I
but
mean,
not administer that level of aid because we are partnered with the professional EMS. That I think you guys make that decision. I think it's if you're gonna spend the money on the medical director, the training has gotta come with it, or there's
Right.
no point in having the medical
That's
director.
right.
So, and that's, I guess that's what I was looking at too.
I agree with you.
Or you're right, I mean,
No, I'm in agreement with that whole
we
thing.
It
spent
doesn't
that money
protect us
last year,
because-
nobody, right.
If I feel that I'm wronged by the firefighter who assists me, and I decide to sue the village, they're not really gonna care whether there's a medical director. They're gonna care about the training that person did or did not receive.
Exactly.
So if they're not administering it, and that's just, again, it's not a professional fire department. It's a volunteer fire department. There are going to be limitations in what can be done.
So the fire department here gets toned for anything that the squad goes to.
Okay. Yeah. Support, I guess I'd call it. Right.
So they're always involved at some point.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the squad is there.
Correct.
Eventually. Yeah. I mean, because,
But that's on the candidly. I think that's if there's medical aid to be rendered, that's on the squad. Aside from perhaps basic first aid.
but we can't do basic first aid.
That's what John's point is, that you can't even put a Band-Aid on because that's, I'm understanding, because that's in a professional capacity. I mean, even though, as a good,
Well,
you know,
I don't know if, but see, I guess that really may be something that people have to look at is what type of aid is the purpose of the medical director versus what are basic things that a firefighter
And
can
that's why I'm
administer.
wondering where the line is for Good Samaritan law.
Right. Right, because I would think, I'd need to do research, and this isn't an official opinion, but I would think that anything that I can train if I can go to Red Cross First Aid and be trained on, I don't need a medical director to do that.
Right, which anyone who's done the American Heart Association CPR classes has basic first aid training.
Sure.
Right.
so I think this is what I'll do, I just wanted to bring it to your attention, so what I'll do is I'll have a meeting next week with Chris and them guys, and Chris is fire chief for Clinton, as well as the EMS director, so he knows both sides of the fence. And what I'll do is I'll say, okay, here's dilemmas, I just wanna make sure, because this isn't due to March.
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
good.
even though I got it now, we didn't sign the contract to March
Right.
last year, you know what I'm saying, so I got a little bit of time.
And
just got-
I can also dig and give you guys advice and
On the
say,
same- on the
yeah,
same-
and see what other places are. I mean, the other thing is, what are other places doing? I mean,
I think Kansas Fire is doing nothing.
yeah.
Well, I could probably say that, say.
They're not doing anything. Not sure what Old Fort's doing. Bascom,
I heard a call the other day where one squad was already at the hospital before the second squad showed up to
Oh, my.
the accident. It's,
I don't know if Bascom's doing anything or not. I mean, it's,
Bascom's got some issues too.
You know, I don't
so
know.
They're out of service quite a bit.
I see it on both sides, I really do.
Yeah,
Well, Bascom didn't really want anything to do with anybody.
I guess
except
me-
themselves, you know?
Being the chief, I'm looking at it for a financial aspect.
Right.
And as you
Especially
should,
with my
this isn't
budget.
nothing. It's not like you have a $75,000 budget.
Right.
That this is
yeah.
If
an
I
afterthought.
didn't have this paper right here in my hand, it wouldn't be a big issue for you to pay the bill.
Right.
right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's all I'm getting at. I'm just,
Well, now, I respect that, you know, and we had a
Right.
discussion, so everybody knows, Mike and I, we had a discussion, you know, after last month's meeting, I think it was maybe a week and a half
Yeah,
later or whatever it
yeah.
was, so we sit down, I sit down with all the officers, and we kinda walked through all these things, and this other thing I'm gonna talk about, the Jackson Township thing, I wanna get all in the air so everybody understands what's going on. We also talked about maybe creating a district with either Pleasant Township, or Kansas, and Betsville, and all that stuff, but I let them know, it's not easy, because I did it when I did the EMS stuff, and you're talking, it's gonna cost probably $50,000 a minimum to get it on the board, go through the board election, get it on the ballot and all that stuff, and, you know, it costs a lot of money, it cost us about $60,000 for the EMS thing. And then, the other thing is, you gotta get an agreement with all three parties, that they're willing to do the terms of the district. And then you gotta get all the trustees, and it's a real pain in the butt, it's not something that happens fast, you know, so we can start that process, but I just wanna say, there's not an easy solution, no matter how you look at everything, and it's not just this area, it's all
It's
across the
all
state.
oh,
It's across, well, probably nationally, probably realistically, it's not probably just Ohio, but, you know, this is our dilemma, so, you know, so we've been having these discussions and trying to figure out what to do, whatever, so, you know, so, and I'll work with Mike on the budget, and we'll try to figure out, you know, what we can do realistically once we get all this stuff finalized and everything, so, I haven't had a chance to look at the budget that Ann just sent today, so I'll have to look that over, and I'll sit down with Mike and we'll work that out. And the only other thing I wanted to bring up, you know, we got the letter last month from Jackson Township trustees, from Sandusky County, and I would just read the letter, and like I said, I've talked to Mike about it, and you know, it is what it is, we've had a discussion, we try to figure out, you know, how we move forward, right? You know, this is all in the past, but basically, he says, Betsville Village Council, it was brought to our attention on November 30th at the intersection of State Route 12 and County Road 13, which, the Magroon Road, there was an accident early in the morning, intersection would be Betsville's fire coverage area. To our understanding, your department was phoned out to the call, it did not respond. Fortunately, the responding officers and EMS were able to respond and safely assist all involved in the accident. We'd like to bring this incident to your attention because we're still under contract during that time period. With 1 month remaining on contract, we hope to receive our contracted services from Betsville Fire Department, even though our future plans to involve your department. That's the letter we got from them, so it is what it is, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a manpower issue and volunteer issue as far as the number of people that you got available and all these other things, so, and it's.
But-
You know, so,
To talk about that a little bit more,
okay,
if you look at the county's, CAD system, we did have guys trying to respond, but they were canceled by whoever was on scene, so.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said, that's why I was
So I mean,
cautious.
you know, we can't just, not everybody's available at all times.
Right, we understand
I
that,
mean, there's calls where Johnny's here, and he's the only one who makes it.
right,
Right.
There's a call when Johnny's here, and there's 10 of us around. It
Right.
just all depends on
what day it is and what's
Right.
going on or whatever, and
Exactly.
it, you know, that's the problem with the volunteer system, you know, and.
and it is, no matter what, I mean, it's.
So, I mean, there's always gonna be these events that, you know, things get out of control. We just gotta try to, you know, make sure that we train our volunteers the best we can,
Yep.
keep them trained for at least the fire part of it, the best you can.
Yep.
You know, and, keep moving forward, and just, we did get one new volunteer, so at least we got one more body that we didn't have before, so
Oh,
that's
good.
good, so.
What, on our contract for fire, do we delineate or specify what the services that are expected? Or is it just like blanket coverage? Cause that may be a conversation going forward that probably needs to be had in those of,
It says in there,
what
doesn't it?
coverage are you expected? Because,
I don't remember what it says.
Fire contract? Well, we don't, Liberty Township does their own contract. I don't know what it says.
What do you mean by it? It's for fire coverage.
sure,
Yeah,
is that fire coverage?
Oh, I don't, that's just what the county does. I don't know how
And I'm looking at it
Counties-
from a little bit of a budgetary perspective. to your point,
counties
is-
are
and
different
volunteers
from county
is-
to county
Mhm.
yeah.
as for what calls they get called out on.
Right, like,
Yeah,
it's
you-
no question a house fire is the call, but,
Seneca County tones EMRs for a stub toe.
Right.
Sandusky County, it's gotta be an overdose or chest pains or difficulty breathing.
An
There's,
emergency.
yeah, it has to be something
So
legit.
who vets it out, the dispatcher, who vets it out?
Yep.
How the call comes into dispatch.
What happens is the fire chiefs at one point, with the EMA director, I'm just gonna say the EMA director, she might not be in charge now, but when we did it originally, she come to the meeting and asked what calls you wanted to be toned out to. And like John just said, you picked, not a bee sting, not a stub toe, but a heart attack, CPR in progress, unresponsive,
Severe cut.
Something that we are trained to deal with.
Right.
yes.
Right.
Because the other issue that goes on a lot of times is when people fall or something like that, and they need assistance getting somebody back up the chair or something like that. Because
Correct.
what happened, our group, from the EMS, like the nursing homes and stuff, they started short staffing, and they started calling the fire departments,
Right.
or, whatever,
Yeah.
and they come out and help people get up off the floor or whatever.
What happens here, for like that call,
Yeah.
we get called at 2 o'clock in the morning for lift assist, right?
Uh-huh.
By the time I get out of bed, get to the station, get in the truck and go to the scene, squad's already got them back and they were telling us not even to respond.
Right.
and that's my point, is maybe that's something to look at going forward is,
And we're talking about that.
Yeah.
We
then
talked about that.
that could
at the
in
meeting.
theory address some of these budgeting, that sort of type of budgeting issue, is if you're not even responding to the call, where that's I understand there may be a secondary situation going on in some of these things, but those
they
are true
can
on
always-
emergencies.
They can always call after the fact instead of being automatically toned.
Correct.
And maybe that's a discussion I need to have with the sheriff's department.
They can
dispatch,
say,
but,
we need additional.
Right.
manpower.
This scenario may be the example of a scenario where in the future, you wouldn't have been toned to in the first place. If deputies arrive, realize that your equipment is not necessary, there'd have been no tone.
And which, I think for that call, nobody was needed.
But that's my point, rather than having this blanket fire coverage and, fire coverage is fire coverage, it's hoses at a fire. I understand there's other things to it, but my point is,
Well, because of the thing.
we don't need a medical person necessarily for that sort of scenario.
Correct.
For things that are more traditional to what is going on.
Well, let me have a discussion next week with them guys, and then we'll figure out how we handle the dispatch and stuff like that, and see if we can make this a little bit better, so it's not so overwhelming, you know what I'm saying? And it's more in what we can actually respond to or whatever. Okay, so I'll work on that or whatever, and I'll work with Mike on the budget and stuff, we'll look at everything and see what we gotta do there, and I'll confirm this on the medical director and all that stuff, and if that's what we're gonna do, then I'll just,
You
go
bring
ahead,
it next month.
bring it next month, and I'll make this, get everything. I just wanted to get it out on the table so we can all kind of talk about it, so I can figure out what I'm supposed to do there, right, so,
Exactly.
right, so.
Okay, and then, the volunteer firefighter dependents fund,
Oh,
that was what Mike talked about last week, last meeting, he had that form.
Right.
I needed it and I don't have it, and I
Gave it to
received
you.
the email, it's late.
And you come to our meeting and took down, it's probably in your folder.
yeah, I got it. I had it, I'll come down here, cause I grabbed the damn thing. I'll get it to you, Angela, I have it.
Okay, and then the other thing was, Scott talked about last meeting, there was $1,800 that was coming from the ambulance district, Central
Yeah.
County.
So we need to put that in the fire department.
No, it can't, it's already budgeted, there's a line in the revenue that's for contracts for emergency medical services, cause that was for the EMS ambulance housing. So it had to go in that line.
Oh, okay.
I'll give me that line, but it can be used for the fire department, right?
It doesn't money come out of that for?
Yeah, it comes out of general fund anyways, whether they're gonna be used, so.
Electric,
roundabout way,
gas.
Yeah, whatever.
It's
I mean, we
all
can use it
broken.
towards that or whatever, right?
Sounds like you just paid for your medical director.
Yeah.
The last thing is the tanker,
Oh, yeah.
refurbished. She's got payment breakdown, but, this month we're supposed to go meet with them guys to get the engineering drawings and stuff, so.
Okay. Cool.
So they still looking for spring before they?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what you had payment breakdown, what was,
Okay, so it's 88.5 is what I have upstairs that the invoice is. The fire levy has, balance as of this past December was 49,106.95. In April, you'll be getting another roughly 13,000, so depending on when we have to pay this bill, I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know if I can take it out of the general fund and then switch it back when we have to make that payment, I'm not sure. And then using that money, depending on when the money comes in for the 2025 fire levy, the general fund is either gonna have to come up with, like $5,000, or it may be more. And then there's fire reserves in the general fund under his fire, and we'll drain that too to use for that, and that's currently $11,421.
Yeah, that's kind of how we figured we'd pay for this thing, so we could.
And then the balance will have to come out of the general fund, and like I said, I don't know, I'll have to talk to Julia, since we have money coming into the fire levy, depending on when we have to pay for it, if we can transfer that back for that, I don't know.
Yeah. So I want you to have a
Rules with
discussion
that.
now, and so you can at least get a plan, so it's not like the last minute, okay?
Yep, I'll talk to
We'll
her.
talk to Julie about that, and maybe figure out how to do it so we don't get in trouble with the auditor. Right,
Exactly.
Right, so, everything, we covered everything, Mike, we need to?
yep, I think so.
Okay, and then you got your things, March 8th, right? Your
Yep, March 8th, chandelier.
Chandelier.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
I
right.
know what you're talking
When
about.
are they thinking it'll be, John,
No, it is,
the painter,
April or May,
April or May?
I'll find out for sure, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I thought they told us payment wasn't due until it was done, so. I thought.
That's what he told me.
but I could be wrong.
oh, thanks, Bob.
Okay, that's all fire, clean up, anything happening, clean up, everybody's been behaving themselves, actually, it's been staying pretty clean in here. Okay, water, sewer, street, John.
Okay, for street, we're just waiting for spring.
Yes.
Water, we had a main break beside the school, down by Rob's place, a couple weeks ago, just before it got super cold, thank goodness.
Yes.
We did have a little boil advisory for their out there. Yeah.
They called my son and took him.
Oh,
His name
did
is
she?
Robert. I didn't know about it until 2 days later.
Oh, we did it as a
It's
precaution.
all right, we don't drink water. I like wine.
We didn't actually get everything shut down tight, so we didn't technically have to issue one, but we do just because.
Actually, our daughter-in-law called us and said, you know, you got a boil advisory.
Oh.
They just called me.
I had it on Facebook before she even started making phone calls.
It's all right.
I wonder where, yeah. We found with this one, a lot of people in that area need to update their information with us because we had numbers for people that didn't live there anymore.
Oh,
and-
my, okay.
yeah. So, anyhow, we worked through that, and the ones that did make comments on Facebook that they never got a call, 2 of them, their landlords got called.
Right.
The accounts are in their landlord's name, so
Yeah,
we don't
Right.
know who they have living there,
Yeah.
so we got that squared away, but
But it's amazing that people can't go without water for a couple hours and then don't worry about the 2 guys out there in the below zero weather fixing it, you know?
I watched them, it was warm, so.
You're inside.
yeah, with binoculars.
Yeah, looks good over there, they're
No,
done.
not that way.
The meters that we've been talking about, and we'll talk about it in here in a little bit. I do have another company coming to meet with me Tuesday morning to get another estimate on that. The company that I got a quote from previously, they hire a contracting outfit to come in and install them. This company that builds these meters has their own guys that come out and install. So maybe it'll be a little cheaper than the previous one. I
Did they
don't know.
really cost like $2,000 a piece or something like
Yeah.
that?
Oh, no,
No.
it was $200,000 for the whole meters and everything.
Installed.
Yeah, yeah. It was like
No.
$175 a meter.
No, it's a little more than that for the remote reads, but no, they're under $300. That's all I got for water. On sewer, we still have a pump that's down right now, but since the weather finally broke, hopefully we get maintenance guys in here to get that figured out. And, we'll be talking here in a little bit about the, sludge dewatering that we need to do out there. And I guess I talked about, now anyhow, I called the engineer that I give him all that information before Christmas there. And he said probably in the next 4 or 5 weeks, he should have that all wrapped up. He's gonna come and do a site visit here in the next week or 2. And I emailed him a bunch of photos of where we wanna put the stuff at and whatnot today. So hopefully we get that all squared away here and maybe we can get something going there this spring, so.
Okay, cool.
I think we spent roughly, what was it, close to $20,000 on sludge hauling last year.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to knock us down to between 5 and 8. So,
Okay.
so it'll take a few years to recoup our money off of it, cause it's probably gonna be a $60,000 project by the time it's all said and done, but
It'll be worth it.
you'll
then.
recoup that in 6 years, so. That's all I got.
Okay.
And the parks, nothing really major going on in the parks, other than I think ATV, we just gotta kinda control them so they stay in the ABD park and not all the sidewalks. I think John's talked to all the appropriate kids now, so, we'll see if we got it resolved or not, but we'll see. But other than that, they're behaving, for the most part, they're pretty good, so. So that's working, and the dog park and everything, so
Yeah.
that's working fine, everybody's happy with that.
Yep.
Any issues with the zoning or anything?
I don't, no.
I've got nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got nothing.
That's even better. So we're gonna go kind of back to water meters. So, in front of you, I wrote a letter, I'm gonna have Rob put on our webpage, and then John's gonna put it on Facebook. And basically, I talked about all the things we've accomplished in the last several years.
Yeah, I think you should.
And
I
so we
think you
put that out
should.
there,
Yeah.
and then towards the end of it, then I also talked about the water meters and setting up a service fund for the capital improvement or capital improvement of the water system, because we got water meters, we got water distribution, we gotta get the ridge tied into, as
Yeah.
well. Then we gotta we're gonna have to replace the water tower and all that stuff.
Yep.
And it's gonna cost money, and like I was telling John, and this is important, everybody understands, it's just like the brownfield thing. We gotta do the engineering up front, and we gotta have the project cost and all stuff figured out, so we can apply for a grant. You just
Right.
can't, you just say, hey, I need $200,000, it doesn't work
Right,
that
they
way.
wanna know where.
So, I mean, cause we spent like $60,000 just to get the Vesuvius stuff
Right,
prepped, just to get the brownfield, okay? So, what I'm getting at, I want this to go out to community, and what we do is we're gonna do,
How you
I was
gonna-
gonna do a ordinance tonight, so that we
How are you
can,
gonna do that? We're gonna put it in everybody's mailbox, or are we just gonna?
no, it goes in the water bill, it adds to the water bill. So what we're gonna do, we do an ordinance, and we're gonna
No, I
take,
mean,
The letter?
this
The
paper, the
information.
letter. How are you gonna get the letter out to the
we're just
people?
on Facebook and our webpage.
I'm gonna put it on the webpage, whether or not they read it or not. is-
Well, yeah, that's what I said.
Right.
You
You
can
can only
even,
do
you can
what
just
you
send
can
it to
do.
them, who's gonna say they're gonna read it anyhow, so.
Right, and make
I
it
think
go
we
in
just put it-
file 13.
You have it on the sign up there by the library, our webpage information, right?
I don't know, I'll have to
I've
look
never seen
again.
it.
If you happen to think about it.
Yeah,
And we put that and say.
I had it on there once before, but
Yeah.
That's,
don't know.
Let's review that.
that's what I kinda thought.
Yeah.
it may have got taken down to put other stuff. You put too much stuff on there, nobody sees anything.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
I can take the
It's not a
turkeys off now and
guarantee.
just put this in place.
Take the what?
The turkeys off of
Turkey.
it.
Oh, the turkeys are gone.
Okay,
I took all that stuff.
so anyways, I think it's important that they understand what, you know, we accomplished a lot of stuff. And, you know, I thought, well, I'll start putting down what the things we did, and it's like, oh my God, we did all that shit, I forgot we did all this stuff. Keep moving forward, right? So I think it's
Exactly.
important that they understand,
Well, people don't know.
No,
They
they
just
don't.
think we just sit down here and have a
Right.
good time.
right,
And spend the money
I
for,
put a notice on there in December
so
about all
we're doing the
this.
ordinance
We
now,
talked about
and
that,
once,
yeah.
we'll go from there, okay? Okay.
cool.
Okay, and John already did the sludge thing, and we just talked about utility service charge, we're doing that, so, and we'll do an
Right.
ordinance for that, and then when he gets that done, and then we'll just do the normal 3-4 months, but by the time we get through the process, to get it on the bill, so there's not something that's happening overnight, you got time to think about it, and bitch at me for a while before it happens, so, okay, so, okay. Okay, the EMS update, let me tell you, looks like, I think the cameras are gonna be here this week. We'll probably have final inspection next week, it'll be done. And then we got a few more things we gotta do inside there, then we'll be about ready to move in.
Cool.
I contact Bascom, they're putting in the, internet and stuff next week. What we're gonna do, how we're gonna approach it, so that we're gonna bring the internet into the front lab where the telephone service is, and then they're gonna branch off that and run a fiber optics back to the back building. So they'll bring both services in there, so we don't have to go through cut all underneath all the roads and stuff. And then just because there's a conduit that runs back here, so we'll have all that stuff in, and there's no cost to the village at all for any of that stuff. I talked to them, so all that stuff taken care of.
They have already contacted me too, so.
Okay,
Alright,
so I knew they would do it,
About
I just,
utilities.
they
so-
got a bore underneath the road because the cable's on this side of the road, I guess he told me, so they gotta go across the road. And then, well, we're gonna be on this side of the driveway, so that way we don't have to, you cut the driveway up or any of that stuff. So that'll get done next week, and so I'm thinking,
Awesome.
we're thinking March 1st, maybe right in that time frame is when we actually move the EMS out there. So we'll see how that goes. Last time I talked to Chris, they were still working on trying to get the license reconfigured for out there for the drug license and all that stuff. I mean, they're supposed to finishing up the security system and door locks and all that shit, cameras. They got the radio systems already in. Oh, the furnace thing, so the furnace, to fix the furnace is gonna be about 17,000, but the county's gonna pay for it.
Oh,
Okay, so
Cool.
I
Look it
negotiated,
out.
I negotiated with the county, and they're gonna, so I got I'm waiting on one other quote, so I get a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
But honestly, time to install is gonna be $20,000. Cause what I gotta do is I gotta cut a hole in the concrete block, and gotta put some lintels in, you know, all that shit. It just,
Yeah.
nothing's ever easy,
No.
you know? And the thing died, and then when Barbara was there the other day, I said, you know, we gotta, so I'm meeting with her tomorrow, we're gonna make sure kinda where we're at with everything. But we're still good.
Cool.
Appropriations will be
see,
over.
people should know this, you know, that we're saving the town all this kind of money, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I've been trying to get as many grants as I can, so, I
Yeah.
mean, so basically, we did pretty good, we got, you know, we had a federal grant that we used to fix the ditch and all that stuff, so it didn't really cost the village too much other than the 10,000
Yeah.
to buy the ground off of Joe.
Joe, yeah.
Because that had to be separate, so that was there, and Brownfield, that, well, we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but that's moving forward, that was another grant we got from the state,
Yeah.
you know, and then I got the $150,000 for the EMS from the state, so that was nothing that impacted the village at all, but at the end of the day, we'll have a nice facility out there.
So is it too early to
Yeah.
think about what's gonna happen to the buildings over here once the ambulance moves or
Well,
anything?
I think we need to talk about that, so if you can have that one there, or I send an electronic copy if you want it, would that make it easier?
Well, yeah, it would be if you just send it to me.
I already sent it to you, you should have it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did, I didn't know if you wanted me to put it on the
Yeah,
webpage.
yeah, well, I'm just saying that you should have electronic copy.
See, what I'm concerned about is just earlier, when it starts getting warmer, I wanna see water and electric
Yeah.
to the shelter house.
Okay.
Because if we're gonna open it up for picnics and stuff like that, people will be bringing,
It's been opened up for picnics and nobody comes.
I know that, but, oh, John. You aren't a woman, you don't understand this kind of stuff. We need our crock pots.
So we'll work on that, we'll work on that, so, John and I had a discussion when we looked at the evidence room and all that stuff the other day, and I said,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
my goal is in spring to get Angela and Brittany and John and everybody moved out there. Can probably, maybe the sheriff eventually, but from the short term, we'll probably move the sheriff over into the EMS building and shut this building down and get the heat and stuff shut down and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
right? We'll have to see how this all plays out, but, I think the goal is probably just to get rid of the building eventually, but, not right now, because it's cost money to tear it down.
Yeah.
Right,
But, I mean, it's not insulated, it costs a lot to heat it,
Right.
electric and everything else, but
yep,
that's other things I got an engineer, because all the services go into that building that goes to the house, and then, the service comes over here and feeds this, so,
that was pretty.
so electric service or whatever would have to be rerouted and all that stuff, so that's something we gotta work through in the future, it's not something that's gotta happen now,
Yeah,
but,
this was done by next Christmas.
well, ain't gonna happen by next Christmas.
No, I'm talking about the water and electric for the shelter house, because we wanna have, this is gonna be our new, Christmas thing because of the bank deal,
Yeah,
okay?
I understand.
And, we wanna go back to having the Santa Claus and the hot chocolate and the coffee and all that kind of stuff, so,
So maybe we can use the little house for North Pole.
I've got a lot
That would
of,
be cool.
extension cords, if anybody
That would
needs
be
any,
cool.
okay.
Okay.
I've got enough that I can come from my house to go clear out probably to the bar, okay? So,
Okay.
if need be, we can do
Not
that.
to mention
Well,
what's
see, you
crazy-
just fixed it.
Yeah.
Huh?
You just fixed it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And then we're gonna put
Okay.
$5 in the
So-
pot to cover the electric.
So the EMS thing's moving forward pretty good, so I think this,
Yeah.
okay, we'll get more of that. Now the brownfield. So I had a meeting Monday with Mike and Nancy and stuff from CEC. So we come down and we're gonna start the process of project scope and mapping where the drains are at, and we're gonna bring the radar and all that stuff in to try to figure out what we gotta terminate and how we're gonna do it. Cause, I also talked to him about, instead of necessarily digging everything up, if I can go ahead and backfill it with Mennonite and stuff and just plug it, versus digging everything up. So we're gonna look at all those options, because it's a legal solution,
Sure.
and it solves a lot of the problems of tearing stuff up. So I gotta work through that whole issue, so we're
Okay.
working on that right now. So, the goal is, do the construction work probably, July, August, because they wanna make sure it's dry, so when they move the ground,
Right,
they're not getting in the ditch where it's gonna cremate and go down someplace else, so they wanna try to make sure the ditch is dry as it can be and that kinda stuff. And they probably might even have to damp off the sports motor ditch and stuff while they're doing that, just make sure they don't get water coming
Yep,
down there, so
yep.
there's all that stuff, I gotta work through all that stuff, we're putting the plan together. And the other thing I made sure that he understood, is that there's no way that the village can afford to invest any more money in this, so we can't do change orders, so it is what it is. You gotta get it done for this $600,000 that you got from the state.
right,
So he's understanding that, and also, he thought, he's looking at around $450,000, $500,000, and there's probably about $100,000 in there for what he called remedial repairs, which would be like the roads and stuff like that to fix, repair the roads and that kind of stuff, so that was all part of this project, just so everybody understands what's going on, right?
Okay.
So,
Who'd you say it is?
it's Mike Hoonfield from CEC, which is the engineering company in Toledo that's managing this whole thing with Renee. But I've been helping them kind of understand building layout and technical issues, because I understand the process, what's out there, right? So I think we got that under control, it's moving forward, so everybody understand. And with the whole idea of this whole thing is to protect the village,
yes.
right? That's why we're doing this,
Yeah.
Yes,
to make sure that we don't have any mercury or any
Yeah,
other
yeah.
nasty stuff getting into our groundwater,
Yeah.
right? So that's why we're doing this stuff.
cool,
There's a reason for this.
Yep.
And that's, I think it's important. Because I
Yeah.
don't want to have an East Palestine
no,
Yeah.
issue
Right.
in Bettsville, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
yep,
Right,
For
so
sure.
that's why I'm doing this. It's a lot of work, but it's the right thing to do. Okay. Now onto the Sylvia's update on the building in the front. So I've had, the vendors in there, we've been looking at getting the walls up, how we separate it, getting the heat system, and fixing the water. So, hopefully, towards the end of this week or the first of next week, we're gonna do smoke tests and stuff on the ductwork and stuff, so I can confirm what's feeding what for sure, so we understand how we're gonna heat the building and then what modifications we're gonna do and how we approach it. So I think, from the way I wanna do it, we're gonna put a heat and cooling system on one end of the building that we're gonna use, and on the other end, there's two rooms that we can utilize for utilities and get away from the old mechanical room.
Okay.
You know, because all that stuff's in there is just, it's junk, needs to go away.
Right.
Right, so, but I just gotta figure out the water and how we're gonna, because we're gonna make sure that we get the water into the restrooms
Yep.
and get the water out of the restrooms without freezing up. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I gotta solve that problem. So we're gonna look at that stuff over. We gotta go down the tunnel and all that stuff, but I'm not gonna do it by myself. I wanna make sure I got people with me. You know what I'm saying?
No,
So I'll wait till I got the guys with me, we'll go down there and we'll figure out the piping and figure out how we're gonna do it. Because
Exactly.
they had to do a modification to it sometime to get it to the new sewer that the village put in.
Yeah.
So that's probably okay, but without going down and looking at it, I can't confirm it. So I gotta go down and do that, but I'm not gonna do that until I get
How
some.
deep is this tunnel?
Well, it's not that it's steep, it's a enclosed space.
It's like, yeah, it's not
It's
that
about
wide.
5 foot tall, and it's about
Oh,
12 foot wide.
I
yeah.
think you're breaking out of a gulag.
Yeah, so it's, you know,
It's just for utilities to
And-
go through.
yeah.
Right,
Building and
yeah.
all that. That's-
and I can tell you, I'm not as agile as I used to be, so when you.
Oh, let's write that one down. Jeez.
So we gotta put a rope on you so we can pull you
Yeah,
out.
well, I mean, it's confined space, so you know,
Might
legally you
need
gotta
a
do that.
walker.
Yeah, you do have to let
Yeah.
that stuff.
So I'm working through that, and I'll let you guys know what the direction, but the goal is, I know I got roughly $90,000, and I gotta be under that, or we can't do this whole project.
Right,
We gotta get it operational, so
yes,
that's where I'm at,
cool.
okay, on that there. Any other old business that I missed or forgot about? Okay, let's do the new business. We're going to reallocation of money, so I gotta figure out where I stuck that thing in. More paper, more paper.
So much fun. You know whether or not to take it out.
I think that's this one here. Is that the ordinance?
Nope, looks like this.
Okay, Angela, read money. It says Angela had to. Is
Yep.
that the one I want?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, okay, we didn't have that.
Okay, so Angela had to reallocate some money from the general fund. 114,200 was moved from land and improvements to natural gas to pay bills. And then 130 general fund, 15,000 was moved from buildings and other structures to transfer out of, to do the water and sewer interest payments.
The transfers.
So I need a motion to approve the reallocation of funds.
So moved,
I'll second it.
Okay. Roll call.
Linda,
yes.
Rob,
Yep.
Bill,
Yeah.
Joyce,
Yeah.
Chuck,
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
And start a transfer, I'm looking for
Okay,
that.
that shouldn't have said Star Ohio, I was wrong, that's not John's fault, that's why I wrote it wrong. This is actually the water sewer interest transfer.
Okay,
I just wanna let you guys know, I went back according to that resolution 2024-14 and calculated everything and made the transfers, and it was, $29,034.11 was taken from the general fund, put into water, and $41,039.36 was transferred from the general fund into the sewer. For the
Which will
interest.
be a great start for the water meter project,
yeah, yeah.
since that was unrealized money at the time, so.
So do we have to do a motion on that or anything?
Nope,
Okay, so I
Julie
guess,
said just to let you guys know that I
Okay.
did it and how much it was.
so John and I had a discussion about that, I guess it's something I just thought about right now, that maybe we use that money to help maybe with a low interest loan for the water meters and move forward with that project fairly fast. So I don't know, what do you guys think? I mean, I think we can make it work, we just have to see about getting a
At
hold of
least
some.
investigate it for next meeting.
Right, let's do it for next meeting.
I mean, does that make sense to everybody? At least that way we can get the water meter stuff off the list and,
You're gonna get between 10 to 15% increase in your revenues just from putting new meters in alone.
Oh, I bet.
yeah, cause
Not to mention now that it's set up so that interest goes back into its respective accounts from the Star Ohio, you'll have that also.
Cool.
So,
That just means higher water bills then.
no,
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 that's what we're trying to get away
Yeah.
from, is raising rates.
Yeah. That's
Well, yeah, because your meter will be reading correctly and it doesn't now. You're still using the water, you're just not paying
Yeah.
for it.
I mean, like John, like what John's saying is that the goal of this whole thing was not to have to increase rates to, again, 5 or 10%, or more.
Right.
I think that's, and let's face it, I mean,
So this will just, you pay for the water you use, period,
right,
on these meters.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
the meters, over time, they slow down. They
Yeah,
don't-
well,
they don't-
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
They start wearing out,
They're only good for 20 years. I don't even know where yours is at, so that.
Well, I
tells
do,
you-
but,
Yeah, but that tells you that I've never changed
yeah,
yours.
but
So
you
it's been
can't
in
get
over
to it
20
because
years.
it's underneath the house, and unless you
Oh.
weigh 93 pounds, you can't get under there.
oh, you're going
Well,
after it.
Yeah. We'll tie a rope around your ankle so we can get you back.
I got one of those furniture dollies, we'll put it on there. We'll
See if I can find a service dog to sniff it out.
But that's why a lot of these need, I mean,
Oh,
they need
yeah,
change.
yeah, I understand that, yeah.
To Chuck's point, even though the rates aren't going up, the water bills are gonna be slightly larger because
It's gonna be caught in
the
the water,
water
right?
meters are gonna be.
But-
Right.
But your minimum's not gonna change.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
That's
yes
true.
and no,
So if you're not at the minimum, nothing's gonna change.
Right, your minimums are staying the same, so
Right.
the only thing that would go up would be your water usage itself.
Right.
And 1,000 gallons of water is $3.50, and 1,000 gallons of sewer is $4.25. So even if the meter, which it won't increase you 1,000 gallons a month, the most it would increase you is like $7.50.
Right.
You see what I'm getting at? It's not,
Oh, I understand.
I mean, it's
we have
gonna
to
go
do it.
up, but it's not gonna be an astronomical amount.
But my
I
point is.
understand we
we're
have
gonna
to do it
increase the
to
bill
pay
with
for
the
the
$5 surcharge, so we wanna make sure that's all advertised and in place, so everybody knows before that happens.
Right.
Right,
We don't have one a double
Yeah,
whammy.
we don't want double whammy.
right.
But I think by doing the service charge, and I hope the auditor, then we can kind of, I'm gonna say earmark it differently, but it's kind of has a dedicated purpose to what we're using those monies for.
That's gonna be for the infrastructure.
And so then everyone across the board is
Paying for
is
that.
not only paying for it, but also benefited from it because they're getting improvements to their water system and they're gonna
Right.
get up over time. We're having a better thing in place to fix pipes and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
because
that
if
over
you're,
time
if you're
gonna
talking
protect you.
a $5 or $6 million project and you have somebody come in and do a rate study, your rates are gonna go through the roof.
Yeah. oh, it is.
And that's what our goal has always been in the last few projects, is to not have to touch that.
Oh, sorry.
So,
And see, the thing is, if we do this, where we pay 5 and maybe eventually have to even 10, I'm just saying, and then that could be your debt service, right? That's for your capital improvements, and that money goes strictly for
Capital
capital
Right.
improvements.
Yeah.
It's nothing else, that's what it's for capital improvements.
Yeah.
It's gonna pay for the engineering up front and all that stuff, we'll try to get grants or whatever, or lowest interest loans, so it's not, we don't have this big burden.
Right.
Because the problem is, we're gonna have to resolve it, it's not, the problem's not gonna go away.
Nope.
One of these days, the water tower's gonna fall over or something, then you're
well,
gonna.
I don't, that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
We
I've
have
seen
that.
them on YouTube, they
We've
fall.
had that,
Yeah.
that's inspected quite often,
Yeah, I
so,
know.
no,
But the-
that's not gonna happen.
No, but the point being is that eventually you gotta replace this
It's,
stuff.
it's outliving its service
Right,
life.
right.
They're making us replace it because the buzzards are pooping on it, right? Is that what it
Sure.
is? Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, okay.
Bottom line, you're gonna do what you have to do, if that's what the EPA says you're gonna do.
Right.
But you don't wanna drink any
The
water.
thing, the thing I don't understand is they're saying it's not big enough for our town.
That's not,
That's not
nobody
No,
ever
not
said that.
necessarily, I think
So, I
it's-
mean, you know,
I know there were 7 items that John did to
Yeah.
bring that into EPA code, but it's only
But
gonna last
the-
for so long.
the thing of it
We have
is,
to do something.
these big places come in, these little towns and say, well, you gotta do this, you know, whether you need it or not, is because it's a standard or a norm.
Well, there's operational procedures and things that like John and I was talking, part of the problem with our distribution system, there's not really good dupe systems. So you got deadhead issues and stuff like that. We need to resolve some of those issues because, your water, you only got so much head on the water power coming down, and you're pushing the water out. But if you got restrictions or the water can't go, and say if they have a fire and they're using a fire hydrant, all of a sudden the people downstream of that don't have any water pressure, or
Right.
whatever, because we don't have enough volume, right?
Right,
You know, so, that's the dilemma that you're getting into, right? So, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of, and that's why it's gotta be engineered, and then you gotta make sure that it's high enough, so you get the right pressure, but not too high. The pressure's too high, that it blows the spigots off the fin, or off the toilet or something, right? You know, you flush the toilet and boil you off, whatever, you know.
All those extension cords ain't gonna help that.
No. Okay.
Well, and the other reality is going forward is that, and I think I put this in the thing is, the reality is it's an ongoing safety issue
right,
because people should be having safe water.
yes.
And so if you have antiquated technology, you may not be getting, I mean, we have a treatment plant. Well, I'm hoping that we can use part of this going forward to maintain the,
We've done a lot of things in that treatment plant in the last 10 years.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's going to continue,
Yeah.
and to have some monies to potentially use for those sort of things is
Right.
important. And that have it be independent of the cost of your water.
Right.
Yep,
But what just scares you though is when they come in and say, well, this is gonna cost 3 or 4 million or maybe 5 million. You know, it
Sure.
just scares the hell out of you, you know, because
It's a lot of
when
money.
people think, well, we have to pay for this, how are we gonna pay for this and stuff? you
That's
know?
why you got, that's why
So
we're
we're
doing
trying
what
to
we're
be
doing.
proactive.
So we're doing it this way, so it's not, we don't have this big,
You don't
oh
want to get
shit.
in a situation like we are over in Erie and Huron County where you
Yeah.
have to do a consolidated
Thanks.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I don't want
That's
to
what it's
have
gonna
to make it
be.
up.
Okay, so while we're talking about water, let's go to, I got that ordinance that Alex just did, it's 2025-01, okay? This
Oh,
is,
two.
oh, two, this is a one,
what's the, I got here?
Permanent
Me-
appropriations.
Me
so
putting it
this-
wrong on
this
it.
is a one.
Well, yeah, but
This
this,
is a one.
Yes,
on the
it's me
paper.
putting it wrong on there because we had a
It's gotta
conversation.
be O
Just
two.
change it, make it a two.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's make it two.
Okay, I'm just reading what I got.
Yeah, I know, I lost to appropriations.
Okay. So I wanna get this straightened out, okay, so what this is what we just talked about. So this is whereas the Village of Betsville hereby levies a $5 per month service charge per household per water bill. Whereas the Village of Betsville levies and said service charge to fund engineering updates and upgrades of water distribution and
We
water
have a
meters.
question from the back.
Stop.
Yeah,
Stop. It's the $5 additional, because we already charge a $3 service charge.
That's right, we all,
Okay, if you
yeah.
wanna just add that language. I
additional,
took it from your letter, so,
Sorry,
okay, it's okay.
I,
so we should say up here additional.
Well, can you take the $3 service charge off?
then you're not making anything.
No, that'll stay on.
Okay, so it, back, Village of Betsville hereby levies a $5 additional per month service charge per household per water
I
bill.
like where your heart's at though.
Okay. So whereas said service charge is necessary for the safety of the Village of Betsville water supply, now therefore be ordained by the Council of the Village of Betsville, Ohio, Section 1, the Village of Betsville, Ohio hereby levies a $5 additional per month service charge per household per water bill. The Village of Betsville, Ohio levies said service charge to fund engineering upgrades of the water distribution and water meter systems, and the said service charge is necessary for the safety of the Village of Betsville water supply. And this is the first reading, so we'll read
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
So you probably wanna make those
Yep.
changes to it. And I'll sign it.
I'm gonna die.
I guess we gotta do a motion.
Well, we're not signing anything
No, we're
anyway.
not signing
No,
anything.
okay.
Just
We're
read
on
about
the-
the same
Okay.
First reading.
Okay, at least we got that behind us now.
Just get
Okay,
to see
so
it.
ordinance, this is actually a one, ordinance 2501. The ordinance accepting the attached permanent appropriations for the fiscal year 2025 and declaring emergency. Whereas it has come to the attention of the Council of the Village of Betsville that it needs to adopt permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2025, and whereas council desires to adopt the attached appropriations for the fiscal year 2025 for the Village of Betsville, whereas deemed necessary in order to provide for the immediate preservation and public peace, health, and safety of the Village of Betsville and of its citizens, and for the efficient day-to-day operations of the village. Now there be ordained by the Council of the Village of Betsville, Seneca County, Section 1, to have hatched permanent appropriations for fiscal 2025 are hereby adopted. That for reasons stated in the preamble hereto, the ordinance is declared to be an emergency measure and passed as due allocation by the mayor and official office for the Village of Betsville, Ohio. So I need a motion to adopt.
Okay, the only difference in what is going to Julie than what you guys have is on the second page in the general fund, the fund 910 transfers out
Oh.
is 110,000, not 75,000.
110?
Yeah, everything else is the same. I just changed that and I didn't wanna print everybody's over again.
Just-
110,000?
110 and not 75. That's the only change. I just wanna make you guys aware of that before you approve it.
So, just so I understand, does this cover the money from the money from the state for the $150,000 for the EMS, or we gotta do something separate for that tonight?
Nope, this will be, this will
Let's
be.
cover that so we can
Yep.
move the money around, because she's gotta pay the bill, so we had to reappropriate the money so we can pay the bill
Right.
for Snyder's and all that stuff with the EMS money out there.
Right.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure I got them both covered. Okay,
Where's the tree fund and the building fund?
okay. So I need a motion to adopt,
Motion to suspend the rules.
oh, excuse me. A motion to
I'll
declare
make a
emergency.
motion to suspend the rules.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, now we're back on
I
track.
found it.
Somebody say.
And Second, coming second.
Second.
I'll
Second,
second it.
okay.
There you go.
Motion to declare emergency. Well, you gotta do a roll call first.
Okay. Yep, Rob,
Slow down.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to declare emergency.
so moved.
Second,
2:30.
Rob,
Yeah.
Linda,
Yes,
Joyce,
yeah.
Bill,
Yeah.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
motion to adopt, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second. But you're trying to get this situated.
Rob,
I got you, Ted. I was trying to see what we're doing.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Linda,
yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yeah.
Chuck.
I mean, step on your toes, I just wanted to get it moving.
Yeah, I know.
I was trying to do the same thing.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got
Trying to
distracted.
see what we're doing.
Okay, is there any other new business? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I gotta go home and call Amplex again. My TV's out again.
oh, no.